Earlier this month, Astroworld in Houston, Texas was the scene of a mass tragedy. The music festival saw 10 people lose their lives due to being crushed in the crowd and hundreds more suffering from injuries. The person responsible for headlining and organizing this event, Travis Scott, has released an apology, but it might just be the worst apology we've ever seen. Today we're going to look into exactly what it is so terrible about this apology and what the rest of the showbiz world is making of it. So back up a second, what happened at Astroworld? Astroworld took place over the first weekend of November 2021. The festival has been happening every year since 2018, and the whole thing was created by rapper Travis Scott. The rapper has faced criticism before for his running of the event and his previous concerts, with people saying he incites the crowds into unsafe behavior. The audience area at Astroworld is equipped to handle a crowd of around 50,000 people, and the venue for both days was completely sold out. One of the things that Travis Scott has been accused of is encouraging his fans to illegally sneak into shows without tickets, meaning that the venues will be over capacity. And when you have tens of thousands of people all in one space, that is extremely dangerous. And that's exactly what happened. Videos from bystanders show hundreds of people launching themselves at security guards at the VIP entrance, which was less heavily guarded than the regular standard entrance. The security personnel were overwhelmed quickly, and soon you can see hundreds, maybe thousands of people sprinting through the entrance. Even in this short video, you can see people falling and being trampled. Horrible foreshadowing as to what would be happening later that night. There's no way of knowing for sure the amount of people who snuck in and exceeded the venue's capacity, but it definitely turned a good night of partying into a deadly disaster. By the time it reached evening, fans in the packed crowd didn't have enough oxygen and started passing out. Limp bodies collided into one another, and the vacuum of empty space meant that people nearby were pushed in by the crushing crowd. Before long, there were literal layers of people on the ground, with others piled on top, and still the crowd surged. Witnesses have described seeing dead bodies on the ground being crushed under people's feet and not being able to get out of the crowd despite screaming for help. Is this whole thing Travis Scott's fault? Well, in short, yes. Partially because he is the organizer and the performer when the incidents occurred. He could have chosen to stop the show at any time to calm down the crowds, but chose to carry on performing anyway. Travis denies that he had any knowledge that there was a problem, but videos prove that this is not the case. One video in particular shows a limp body being carried out of the show. We do not know if this person was alive or dead at the time. And Travis is standing on a raised platform staring at the person being carried and just carrying on with his song. He clearly does not care enough to stop the show. Secondly, if it was not for Travis Scott's behavior before the show happened, people would not have stormed the venue to crash in at the first place. It's not normal for hundreds and potentially thousands of people to illegally break into concert venues en masse at all. The only reason this happened is because Scott tweeted previously, "Nah, and we still sneaking the wild ones in." After the event and highly publicized deaths, he has since deleted this tweet, but it's still available in the archives for people to view. This isn't the first time he has incited violence either. As of 2015, he was actually arrested minutes into a performance for encouraging fans to illegally rush the stage and jump barriers. In 2017, he encouraged fans to jump off balconies, and that same year, he was charged for inciting a riot at a show. One video, which can easily be found on YouTube, shows Travis Scott actually encouraging a huge crowd to beat up a young fan. Scott was seen crowd surfing, and in the crowd, he lost his shoe. He got back on stage and saw the young fan holding the shoe, perhaps to give it back to him. But Scott accuses the boy of stealing his shoe and riles up the crowd to attack the young fan. Is he going to be facing any legal trouble this time around? An attorney who's filing a suit against Travis for his violent show released a statement saying, "Make no mistake about it, his desire for chaos causes horrific tragedies. Scott actively encourages his fans to rage at his concert. His express encouragement of violence is previously resulting in seriously violence at numerous past concerts." This is absolutely true. There is no mistake that Travis Scott tries to get as many people to act as violently as possible, with no regards for the live's host. Travis Scott is more willing to stop a show for his missing shoe than to stop people who paid to see him from dying horrifically. So what about this apology we've been hearing about? If this wasn't such an awful tragedy, it would actually be laughable. The video that Scott and his PR team is claiming as an apology is actually nothing of the sort. Not once during the video does Travis Scott actually apologize or utter the words "I'm sorry." He does not take any accountability for his actions whatsoever. The video, shot on a phone camera selfie mode and in black and white, perhaps to make him look sad, is only about a minute and a half long. Travis is leaning his face close to the camera and spends most of the time with his hands covering his face and refusing to look at the camera, as if he's a spoiled child who's ordered to say sorry after breaking something. One example of the half-hearted, clearly rehearsed lines is, "My prayers go out to the families and all those impacted by what happened at Astroworld Festival. Houston PD has my total support as they continue to look into the tragic loss of life." Fans have taken to the internet to slam the poor attempt at garnering pity for himself, criticizing Scott heavily. This is something that could have easily been prevented, and he didn't just allow it to happen, caused it directly. There's also a video of ambulances trying to reach the dying and injured at his show, and he can clearly see them. Instead of telling the crowd to let them through, he starts up the music once again. What do other celebrities have to say about this, and what on earth is going on with Drake? Drake was performing alongside Travis Scott that night, and he stood by and let the whole thing happen. He would have been able to see just as much that he was going on as Travis did, and he didn't do anything to calm the crowd down. In fact, he did the opposite. He was very quiet on social media for even longer than Scott was, and he too released an apology that didn't actually contain the word sorry. He knew of Scott's previous history with inciting violence and could see what was happening all around him, and he just carried on partying. Kylie Jenner has also got some opinions about what happened and is also facing some serious backlash. She and her PR team posted an update the night of the incident stating that she was safe. She's pregnant with Scott's child, and obviously as a billionaire and special guest, she was never going to be anywhere near a busy crowd of members of the public. It was completely unnecessary for her safety to be announced, as she would never have been in any danger in the first place. She was absolutely slammed by fans for this, as obviously the status of the people who are actually in danger is far more important. She also posted videos of the ambulances to her Instagram instead of actually trying to get security alerted to help those who desperately needed it. What is next for Travis Scott? Well, like we mentioned earlier, he does have some pretty massive lawsuits coming his way. They're varying from $1 million to $2 billion, and with his track record, it does not look as though he's going to be able to escape responsibility this time. He's been criticized before for his desire for violence at his shows, but this is by far the biggest amount of publicity that one of his incidents has caused. Now, when anyone hears his name, they think of the horrors that happened at the Astroworld show. People are definitely not going to forget about this anytime soon. Travis Scott's reputation has been permanently and deservedly ruined, and hopefully the lawsuits will ensure that he is punished adequately for the loss of 10 lives and the injuries caused too by so many others. What do you think about Travis Scott's abysmal apology video? Did you think Drake's was any better? Let us know in the comments below. We'll see you next time.